Where are you living now? Like Costa
I am
Rica or
in
something like that?
Cambodia.
You're in Cambodia?
Check it out, bro.
Wait, so
It's a
what time of
beautiful
day is it right now?
uh noon or 11, I think. I don't
Oh,
even know what day it is. It's
so you're like
Saturday.
you're prime time day right now.
Yeah, bro. I just got done with a workout at the gym, bro. Check it out. I
I've
don't know
been
if we should even like start the podcast so I can show them, but yeah, this is
no,
the
we're
property.
recorded.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, sick. Well, yeah, this is the property, bro.
I need to know everything, who and the what and the where, I need everything. Trust me, I hear what you're saying, but act like it's new what you're telling me. I'm curious, George, I hop in the Porsche, it's 5 and a horse,
So
I'm
let's
ready
get
for
this
war.
started. This is 37 and 37, bringing in 37 people that have influenced my last 37 years of life. My 37th birthday is coming up. It's a lot of 37s, but you are one of the types of people that have like even brought me to this type of task where
Mm,
it's kind of like a hard 45, but it's for my business. It's like I want
sick.
to
Yeah.
just restream what I want out of the product that we're trying to build.
Yeah.
Put myself under different time tests to get it done. Like, we're recording this at 9. I'll get it out before 12. It's not the perfect time to even like launch a podcast at that time. But
Mm.
at the end of the
Imperfect
day,
action.
it's more about the thing that I'm getting it done today, right? And through that, I hope to now refine the processes to then get it to a place where I'm doing everything at like optimal efficiency, launching things at the right time. But what I've found is that, let's say I pause this and then post it at the right time on Monday, you get all these weird like failures to launch. Um, I don't know, a
Life
jump
gets in the way.
life gets in the way, a jump drive dies, all these types of things. That's not the important part of like where our business is at. And what you've been doing with Gravel the Castle, this is Ken Conklin. Um, how do I describe you? You're like the Jocko of my life. Um, but you're
That's
also
a big title. So I just want to say, if I'm that, then I'm honored, brother. Even just calling you as a friend and our friendship, that I value it so much. But
yeah,
to hear that I'm Jocko, I'm like, shit, man. Because Jocko, of all the people that are in this kind of men's space, I think he's one of the most badass guys because he's actually like he has Victory MMA, this amazing gym. So he's a big on, and he has Jocko Fuel, all these businesses under his belt. So he's a badass, successful man.
yeah.
But he's also the most humble and cool dude. When I listen to his podcast, like I could imagine that, he's met all these influential people and he's just treats them like a normal person. And I really admire that of him. And I try to replicate that. I think my ego is much higher than his, and I don't have anywhere near his accomplishments. So
Yeah.
I still need, but that's also I'm in my 20s. I'm learning.
Well, what I think's been so cool about, we've been able to know each other through a few different phases of life, even though our
Yeah,
friendship has been, in theory, like short. Maybe we've known each other for like 4 years or something like that. Maybe around that.
yeah. Because last time I really chatted with you like this was the last podcast we did when I was living in Colorado, which is about 2 years ago, and I was like a year or two after LA.
Right. So I meet you when you are one, building Gravel the Castle,
Mm-hmm.
conceptualizing it, bringing on your first clients. You'd already been doing this in a lot of different places, but now, I mean, you start. I remember when you like get the ring and like the shirts are come out. You really start branding this thing, but you're
You
also
came out when these signature shirts, which I've had the past few years, like I finally created that design, and I haven't like made other ones. I've actually made like some one-off ones, but like the go-to, you were one of the first guys that were repping those shirts, and so yeah, that was such a monumental phase.
well, and you were living in like the Phase House or whatever in Hollywood, right? So there was
Yeah.
this weird clash
And we
of
had TikTokers coming over, filming videos
right. So
that
you're
are
living in
so
this like
off brand for what
Hollywood
we're doing
TikTok
now.
house. Yeah. So you're like, I'm doing this gritty, what I'm gonna call like men's camp. This space to be able to like one, define your principles, understand your core value systems, and then create a protocol to be able to actually like achieve that, and then bounce it off yourself, who's like, you're just a phenomenal leader at clearly, concisely telling people your current plan isn't it. There's little gems in your plan, but we need to tweak a few things here and there.
And that's what's been so amazing over the past year and a half. Again, I'm so bad with timing. But just since so a year and a half of like me traveling the world, being in a handful of different countries, opening my eyes to like, okay, I actually prefer to be shirtless without shoes, wearing shorts in the tropical weather, compared to slick back hair, my Nike Air Force Ones and my like cool designer type pants with my belt buckle with the logo on it. And like, I'm wearing the shirt all the time. That was like my LA, almost like superhero outfit, like my whatever you call it, the thing that you wear all the time. And yeah, and like it's amazing to have all these different journeys and phases. But at the end of the day, it's always been like, hey, self-improvement's the core, discipline, training, and intentionality. But like, as life grows, I mean, you getting married, having a baby, right? One, I'm excited as hell to hear about that. But then two, like for me, I now have an incredible woman in my life. Her name's Leah. We've been traveling the world. We're coming up on a year of being together, and we know what our life is, going to look like, what we're, working towards with our goal. If you ever see those posts on Instagram of like find a good woman and go move off grid and buy a bunch of cows, that's kind of like our vibe, and that's different than the Hollywood life, right? I've always been this guy, but I was looking for those things or trying to work towards it, being in that wrong space. And that, like, for me, for what I'm trying to do. So it wasn't until I really left, moving to Colorado, and our last conversation was like me recognizing that and taking that first step. But I went full on, like I said, I'm in Cambodia, bro. That's far.
That's something I'm like, we jump on this call. I'm like, are you in Costa Rica? Because that's like the feeling that I get from like seeing you on Instagram. And then I'm like, Cambodia, like you're out there. I actually did a month and a half in Laos while I was in college.
Nice.
I know they don't, from afar, they seem like they like have similar cultures, but once you're there, they have very contrasting cultures or whatever. But what I love so much about like who you are and what you've done is that everything that you are now is you're living the truest form of everything that you were speaking into existence while you were living in like a TikToker house in Hollywood. Nothing about you as a person has changed. You've just grown into the future that you've desired. And that's where your own life path is something to like look up to. It inspires me from afar. We can't speak every single day because we're both grinding on our own journey, but I look at you as a lifelong friend because I know that you're going to be doing you. And I can immediately just jump on a call after having talked to you in 2 years and go,
we're just catch up.
We're back into it. And last time I saw you, you were like spraying me on your roof while I was doing push-ups for a Vice interview.
That's right. Is that the last
yelling at me, calling me a pussy, and we're carrying this
I
log.
didn't do that.
No, maybe not. But probably.
I remember the pats on the back because I remember at the end of that Vice documentary, they did a compilation of how many pats on the back I did on everyone, and I think you might have gotten 1 or 2 extra pats compared to everyone else.
That's perfect. You had a perfect balance of like degrading and optimism.
Degrading and optimism. That's funny, yeah.
But like this is the thing. As I was explaining this to like one of my wife's friends of what you do. She's like, does that sound appealing to you? I'm like, yes. Everything that he does to the right guy is, I truly think, what's ultimately necessary. It first comes down to brotherhood. It's brotherhood with intention. And then it's this expectation of everybody is supposed to grow. And we need this locker room effect of a bunch of dudes that are expecting more of each other and are willing to kind of call out the bullshit, but then work amongst each other to be able to like meet those needs. I I just continue to love what you're building over there.
I really appreciate that. And yeah, and it's funny because when I was at that place in my life, um, like living in Los Angeles, because I've had like let's just say from like age 18 to at that time I was 24, just life experiences of breakups, still having my brain underdeveloped in some ways. Because I think your brain doesn't fully develop to like people say 25,
They
whatever.
say
Still an adult.
25.
I've always been I'd say mature for my age, or at least strive to be. But
Yeah. You were a
I understand.
24-year-old dude that like I looked up to. And I was a 33-year-old guy or something like that time. Like, this guy's for sure 40.
He's lying. This
Yeah,
motherfucker's
he's for
lying.
sure 40.
He's 40. Yeah, so funny. But yeah, and so it's interesting because actually Leah, who is my partner, that actually just brought me a smoothie mid podcast.
I love
'cause
that.
we have so many mango trees, it's insane. We probably get at least like 30 a day. It's wild. And but like she's had such an impact in my life of just like finding more zen and peace. And so, I feel so much more relaxed, but also still just like on point and focused. So it's funny because, I've done some like group experiences with guys, and I'm doing the stuff with them. And where I see that I should take a leadership role, I do, but I also recognize like, hey, we're all on that path trying to just figure some shit out and become
Right.
better. And that's like what the brotherhood with intention is that you described, is having clear core values, really defining, what's my goal, what's my intention, and what's that code I got to live by. Who are the people that align with that code that I can have that community with and build that friendship with, because that's necessary for the fun. Like, it's like playing a game. You're playing basketball and you just scored. Well, what makes it fun is the people that you competed against, the people that are on your team that helped you achieve that, and the people
Right.
that are applauding. If you don't have any of that and you're just doing it alone, that's boring. That's what a lot of entrepreneurship is, at least what I
Yeah.
experienced.
It's such
Yeah.
a lonely experience for everybody, right? And you're really like keying in on that. Where is the business at like right now? It's in
So
Cambodia. You're bringing guys out. Like, what does that experience look like now that where you are? I've seen the Hollywood experience. What's the
yeah.
Cambodia experience?
Well, I'd say the biggest shift I've made is, like I've added a couple of things. One is once a guy enters into our property, he can't leave. He's like committed for life.
Okay. Like, if you want to leave, we'll waterboard
So we
you,
have,
but
we have like 40 guys that like are just, they're not allowed to leave. If one tries leaving, they're in big trouble.
do people live there
No.
while they're there?
Okay, so I have 5 bedrooms at this property.
Okay.
So I'll just give a quick backstory of like how I came here and stuff. Me and my girlfriend, we were traveling around. I was traveling around for like a year and a half. Met her at a point in that timeline, and then we're in Thailand. Loved it out there. It was amazing. We are actually looking at a house just for like us to just like stay at for a few months and just relax. And because being on the road in hotels all the time, especially for that long, I was like, I need a film studio. I want to start doing my men's stuff again. I was itching for it. Like I need a place to set up camp. And so we did a visa run to Cambodia. I didn't know anything about Cambodia. I heard it in like the Men in Black movie one time. Just that word, that phrase, country. That's it.
Right.
I didn't know anything. I was like, yeah, this is whatever, do it. And her Leah's friend just so happened to have Ben out here too. They're both from South Africa. And so like, we came out here and checked it out. Then we came to this small little town called Siem Reap, okay? And Siem Reap, I imagine the best way to describe it is like the feeling of Santa Barbara, where it's like you go on State Street, Santa Barbara,
Yeah.
and you're walking around and you're gonna. I mean, for me, I lived there for a handful of years, and I was able to see people that I knew just walking on State Street, because State Street is like a main hub. It's like a big long street, and then maybe if you go to the pier and stuff, you'll see people. But like if you need to go shopping, you go on State Street and just walk up and down a big line. That's
Mhm.
kind of like what Siem Reap is, where it's a small town. No like big buildings in terms of like city, like skyscrapers, but there's plenty of things that you need in the Western world for sure. Tons of great restaurants, and we
Like, is
just
there a
posted up
Starbucks
here.
there?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah,
So
and
it's
so
that
I'm
type of
not.
town where it's like at least it has like these weird, awkward amenities that sometimes are useful.
Yeah, 100%. It's not like you're just like in a
I didn't
tent.
know if you're in the jungle, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and so well, there's elements of that. So they have temples, ancient temples that are so beautiful, and we actually need to go take advantage of that more. But yeah, so we came here, and then actually we were just posting up in Siem Reap because we plan to come here for a week and then probably go take back off to Thailand or some other country. And I started looking at some properties, found a spot that looked really cool. And then ended up like going, I think like I saw how this is necessary for the next step in the next chapter of my life and what I'm trying to do with the men's work and all that stuff. And even just being able to have like a kitchen for Leah to cook in and all this stuff. So we moved into this beautiful property, and yeah, we've had guys come and stay upstairs, sometimes short term, sometimes semi long term.
Sure.
I've had guys come and yeah, do these amazing, boot camp experiences. Luckily, there's men that are out here that are like expats and into this stuff. And because this is a town where there's gyms and a lot of like Muay Thai, like or not Muay Thai, they call it Kung Khmer. It's like their version of kickboxing
Okay.
for Cambodians. There's that stuff, but there's no like Hollywoodized, maybe it's like Hollywoodized men's camps. I come out here with putting a commercial.
Like there's
on the
not like
X-Factor.
there's no Barry's boot camps or equinoxes out there.
Yeah, and so I post this video of me doing a bunch of like this call to action commercial with a bunch of cinematic stuff I've had from the past, and people in the Facebook group were just like, some of the dudes were like, "Whoa, what is this?" And they're reaching out to me. Yet a handful of people be like, "There's nothing gayer than a bunch of dudes in an ice bath or in a hot tub. Let's do it." And like, you had a whole bunch of people talking shit.
Yeah.
And it was just so funny. So I've actually met, a bunch of cool guys, done some experiences.
So let's say obviously like you're actually an unbelievable cinematographer and editor, right? You have these like crazy
Appreciate
skill
that.
sets. You already have like a unbelievable base within marketing. That's how you paid your bills within the last years of your life before you even started this business.
Mhm.
But you go out to the space where like okay, I found my perfect property, but like, dude, you're from like Arizona or Colorado, right?
Arizona is where
So
I'm from.
what about Cambodia made you feel like you could actually build, even though the property was right, your business from that space? Because all your clients were generally in the Colorados, Arizonas, and LAs.
Yeah.
That type of like I imagine like that gap is still something you fight against a little bit, but how did you have enough faith to be able to like bridge that gap that guys would be willing to come out to you, or that you could even be valuable enough within the community that was there that they would want the video? Well, you publish that video that night, you're like, is anybody in this town going to care? Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so me coming here, and then I started attending a couple different gyms. Well, there's like one place called Ground Zero, which is like there's like I said, a handful of MMA gyms.
Okay.
This particular gym, Ground Zero, the two owners, Braden and Dennis, you would love them. Super cool guys, fun, outgoing, but also like I like me. I say more like you. Like I'm the guy that's always like a little out there, but there's like
Yeah.
cool, well-rounded dudes that are just like, oh yeah. Um, and yeah, and like we all got along and had a bunch of fun. And so I saw like, oh, these are some cool ass people. I could see them being like, buddies of mine that I could like share these visions with, and I would, and they would describe like, yeah, I think you could do it. And it just things felt right, and so that's what kind of led to this happening. A lot of like the thing I'm focused on, and like had been from the beginning of coming here was the online aspect. So I was challenged with like always switching platforms every couple months, trying to figure out like what's the best way to build a community. Because again, like you have people on Instagram, YouTube, whatever, that's where they go when they want to connect and see content, all this stuff. A lot of people go on
Right.
YouTube to learn, but it's also very distracting. I know me, whenever I go on there, I'm distracted as hell. School, then that platform, if you ever checked it out or are familiar
I've
with it,
never heard
that's
of
Sam
School.
Ovens. Nope, dude,
No.
school.com. It's fucking amazing. So it's basically social media, but for like, self-improvement courses and all this stuff. But
Okay.
there's community. Community. I'm gonna send you a link to the school because what I'm doing is I have a free school community for Gravel to Castle. And here's what's amazing. It's gamification. So basically you have this leaderboard and point ranking system. When you come
Okay.
in there, you have a big bold title of procrastinator with the clown emoji. So you want
Am
to
I
like get
connecting
out
like
of
my Whoop or Apple Watch? Like, how am I knowing my analytics on this thing? Or
so I
I'm like
have a
inputting
7
it myself.
so I have a 7-day quest, which is like my like a challenge, right? That they
Okay.
come in when they whether they came in from an advertisement or from other communities that actually post in, share a bunch of value. Like there's 130,000 men in this one group called Adonis Gang. There's a YouTuber called Hamza. Are you familiar with that
Yeah,
man?
for sure. Yeah.
So if you look at his description in every YouTube video, he says, join my free men's community, Adonis, school.com/Adonis Gang. Well, when you go there,
Interesting.
it's a free community. And then he has a paid community that has 2,000 people paying $129 a month. That's $240,000 recurring. He
That'll
has
do it.
daily, yeah, I'll do it. He has a daily call, different coaches that, are in charge of that day for dating, or the business call or fitness call, whatever it is, right? That's very similar to the model that I'm building out and currently doing, just on a much smaller scale. So
Sure.
that's like my plan, and that's what I knew my plan was, and that's kind of been what I've been doing for the past
Yeah,
year.
ever since I've known you, that's been the plan that I've kind of at least thought your whole ethos was around.
Yeah, being able to do that stuff online, because again, it's like really for the entrepreneurial man that wants to, at the core, because I've always wanted to have like one dope woman, just like you, right? Build towards a
Right.
family and do all that stuff. And so that's like been the message. I've just never been like speaking to, if you want a girlfriend, it's always been like, here's how to improve your game or stuff like that. But I'm realizing as I get older, like the demographic, is a guy that wants to have like one good woman that, rides shotgun in his life and they build a future together. And he's ripped and feeling amazing in his body. Then he works remotely or does
It
whatever with his
it
business.
is a hilarious lie that like most men want to like live single in a big house alone and then have like a harem of
10
women come in and
girlfriends.
out. Like there's something truly like deep in our soul that desires like this lifelong partner that has
Mhm.
similar morals, visions, um, probably like praise the same God, like all these types of things. And you're like on this journey together. Like
Yeah.
thinking of going on a journey on a yacht with like 50 women that come in and out. I just don't see how that I just think this is like a huge lie that no one wants to call out. That's not what people really want. Cause you see like a Dan Barzarian, you're like, every time you see him on a new podcast, you're like, oh, that guy is tragically lost and sad. And we were
Mhm.
pitched that that was supposed to be like a goal. And to me, I always
Yeah.
like kind of scoffed at him, like, I think that's funny. And that's not to say that I won't like watch some of your stuff, but I know that's just not me. And
Yeah.
that's why I think some of the reasons that we even became friends, even while you were like a single guy, we still had the same expectations of, yeah, like you want one person in your life, you want to build a thing. And then through that, like as you probably experience now, find this wild amount of stability through that partnership. Like your cup is never empty, it's overflowing. Then
Yeah.
you can affect like a much wider community because you're like, we're in this together. Um, and it becomes one of the most beautiful experiences in life. And I feel bad that if people are too distracted by what's being marketed to them, you're gonna lose out on like that real experience in life that I think are like our soul desires.
There's a quote that I really like sharing, and it's um clearly I don't like it enough to like fully remember the full quote, but it's like
The
the like
essence, though.
like it's not impressive for a man to get a ton of women. It's impressive for a man to keep a woman, right? A
Right.
guy who doesn't have any woman can go, oh well, I want to get a bunch of women. So actually, that is impressive in regards to like heart. Like to get the attention of women to get them interested in you. Like you have to be a man that understands how to communicate with women, but also you want to be interesting and attractive character. When it comes to keeping a woman, like say the Dan Bilzerians, like you see that guy with a ton of women. I lived with a version of that guy. You know who that is. I don't need to say his name because I don't want to like, you know, do that. But like, yeah, it's like I got to experience that very up close and be like, oh wow, like, person having a 30-year-old girlfriend and a 22-year-old girlfriend living in the same house.
It's
And
tragic.
those girls hate each other, and there's awkward ass tension in the kitchen every single day. But that guy gets to have sex with two different people every day, right? Winning, maybe not. And so I got to see that up front and be like, oh wow, I don't want that life. Because like, and again, like you see, and just like you said in the podcast interviews, like with Dan Bilzerian, you see what that actually looks like. So it was very valuable for me to be around that. I've been on plenty of yachts, been on plenty of experiences like that.
Yeah, you
And
have seen it.
and
You can like speak from a real space of like, I've done the Hollywood thing. I've seen all
yeah,
the
I think
spots.
not I just say we all generalize, right? We all have our stereotypes. I'd say that the majority of men should experience like that lifestyle of going out to whether it's Hollywood or living in Dubai or living in New York, high rise
Right.
or penthouse in Miami, whatever it is, experience what that is like, feeling like, oh, I'm living that, upper kind of 1% lifestyle, to then be able to reference that in your own real life when you realize like what you do want, or just to be able to compare that to things. I'll sleep on the floor working at Subway. One kid out of my college or university or high school graduate class that didn't go to university, um, and I just remember like having that drive. I'm gonna go be, like successful, and I want to be seen by my people that I went to school with as a certain thing. But then you
Right.
get older and you grow out of it, and now you're just like, well, what do I actually want? And then that's where we are today, where we're actually working towards what we care about and what our heart tells us, which is the lives that we've built for ourselves and the people we care about.
Right. It's this weird middle ground because we always get sold you're either like a pew boy in church or you are Dan Bilzerian, right? And there's nothing in the middle. Masculinity is right in the middle of that. It's the
Mm-hmm.
balancing act of where you are spiritually and then these reckless tendencies that make you desirable, they make you successful. That the balance is what's the most important part. And I think you do a really good job of like walking that balance. Like it allows you to be mindful of your recklessness, hone it in and use it as a value, and then make sure that like your values are intact and you're using all of that for the right reason. Um, and that type of thing is hard to explain, but when you meet it within your heart, you're like, that is the truest version of myself. Like
Mm.
guys like fast cars and
Yeah,
like don't avoid that from yourself. Like also
Leah and I.
don't cut your dick off because then you're not
Yeah.
the attractive guy. And you will also you won't be the truest version of yourself. But then again,
Mhm.
there is a place in life where you can cross that line. You're like, oh, I'm not me anymore. I have
Yeah.
values, virtues, and all these things. I want one female in my life to be able to give everything to.
Hmm. For me, I've always had the goal of I want a matte black Rolls Royce. That's been my like childhood fantasy that I want to have that cool toy. You can still hear me, right? Just froze a
It's
little bit.
getting a little jumbly right now. See where you
You
went.
can hear me.
I lost you
Give
a
me a
little bit.
thumbs up.
I got a nice, good vision. Okay, you're coming back. Now I see you. I
Okay,
see
are
you and
we
hear you
back?
perfect.
It cut
Yeah,
out for a second.
totally.
Cool. Yeah. So Leah and I, talk about how like she's like, she'll occasionally bring up or like in this beginning of our relationship, the lifestyle you lived in Hollywood, that's not what you actually want, right? I was like, no, I detest that. I don't want that at all. But that doesn't mean I don't want a Rolls Royce because I'll always want that. I'm not obsessed with fast cars and fancy things like that anymore. But like, fuck yeah, I want to have a nice farmhouse with a sick ass Rolls Royce on it. Just,
Yeah,
just so I could take it, or maybe I just go and rent one whenever I go to a cool city and just
yeah,
experience that because it's cool. It's like we're men, we like toys and things, and that's things fast, powerful, and all that stuff. But yeah,
that's
and especially coming and like living a lifestyle of in Southeast Asia where like I'm just on the beach living that tropical shirtless, man. But I have long hair now. I didn't have that time when I was seeing you in Hollywood, and I slackline. I'm just living that kind of Tarzan lifestyle, and that's me.
yeah,
That's what I love.
yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a version of like the way that I think you approach your like physical identity and the way that you exert your energy daily, like that is you leaning into like this masculineness that I think that sometimes we avoid, right? Like, especially in entrepreneurship, people go, well, I don't have time for a jog today. I don't, when I get into the gym, and I'm telling you, like right now, I currently do struggle with this. I'm good at like going for a jog, but like I'm bad at, because I don't surround myself with the right people still. Like when you get into the gym, to like make it an intentional moment to like exhaust yourself, right? And anytime that you do that, you never leave that place of exhaustion going, oh, I wish I didn't do that today. You go,
Yeah.
oh, every single time I've ever done it, which I was much better in my college years, I would go, I need to do this every day. Like, this is the best version of myself. I have more energy than when I got in here, than less energy. And then when I'm like a guy right now, I'm like, I give myself excuses. I'm like, I got a baby. I'm trying to figure out my business, blah, blah, blah. I hit like the bench for a little bit, try to do some pull-ups, take a jog, or like just around the track. I actually leave the gym. I'm like, I'm kind of exhausted. I didn't do enough.
Well, that's why I think optimizing your life, again, this is where like the holistic approach comes in, because say you want to get in better shape. Well, I remember when I lived in LA, there was an LA Fitness actually that is near Marina Del Rey that I totally spaced on for like a year living there. I like, went to a 24-hour fitness. So I was straight up probably like 20 to 25 minutes of driving away because with traffic and all this stuff. That's exhausting. So that means 25 minutes to go drive to the gym, work out, stretch, all that stuff, and 25 minutes back. There's like 2.5 hours, right? So you're working out for, however many time. That's not to make an excuse. Like if you, hey, go get it done. Oh, well, right? Make time. But that does take a lot of time. Like I'd rather just work out at home if I have the right stuff. Or right now, like I just put on my flip flops and hop on my scooter, cruise out within 10 minutes. I'm at the gym, but like I have the nice breeze on me. There's no traffic. That's a nice experience. I've done both, even in Colorado when I'm driving in the wintertime to the gym and I gotta fucking brush off that ice on my windshield. Like
Right.
that sucked. That was actually the worst, because then I'm like, okay, I want to do the sauna after, so I'm gonna wear my board shorts, but fuck, that's gonna be cold when I go outside and my
Right.
shorts are still wet. And now it's like
Yeah, you got to dry
snowing.
off.
Like
You got to dry off before you get in that cold.
so like I think that's probably one of the worst. But again, someone could always have like the worst thing. Maybe they got to fucking hike 4 miles to get to the gym in the snow or something. Who knows, right? So it's important to be able to do those things that are hard and push past that. But I'm all about optimizing your life for what's easy. So I've always wanted to have like my own property, my own ecosystem where I can literally go, that's where I work out in the little gym area. I can do like push-ups and like all this stuff. If I need to like look at my form, I have that little function on the glass and stuff and all that, right? Sparring, I go out in the grass with my buddies. So being able to have that in my own home space, so I can invite people in. I don't got to leave. That's how my ideal life. Even when I was in Marina Del Rey or Hollywood, that's kind of the same thing. Invite people to my space. But the challenge is, okay, well, how do you do that? Okay, well, if you want to go live out in these countries, well, do you have a remote job or do you have a remote business? And the answer is no, you got to focus on that. So then now the thing that comes in front is go work on your career. And so that's why like, all these things come into picture. It's like, okay, well, when I met my girlfriend, I was a guy that worked remotely and she was a girl that had her project manager job that was remote as well. So our lives we both wanted someone that we could travel with. Well, then when we met each other, we were at this place where like, oh, we could go do this right now. Imagine if she was like, oh no, I have to go back to my job in this country. And so like, oh, well, I want to travel, like, or say it was that way with her. Like understanding what that vision is, right? And then mapping that out. I've always been, seeing that as the path that you got to follow. But in my own life, I finally realized like, damn, I got to actually take that jump myself. But also I spent a couple of years building to get to that point, so it's like a whole process to get there. But I see I in these groups that I mentioned in that school platform, Adonis Gang, that's Hamza's group with 130,000 kids. A lot of them are in high school. A lot of them ask me this advice of, how do I, go do that? What you're doing is travel and do these things. I'm like, okay, well, if you're in high school, first off, chill out, have fun in high school, bro. You don't got to drop out of high school like all these other kids are doing. Because, like, dude, enjoy yourself. But if you want to get a head start, fuck yeah.
But
Maybe go get
you
a
started running fast even when you were young, though. Because
18
you were a
though.
24-year-old guy living like with like you had the 25-year-old or 24-year-old energy, but you had like this expectation of life as somebody who was like upper 30s. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you came off with that level of expectation, understanding of who you truly were, all those types of things. So it's funny that you're like telling an 18-year-old guy chill when it's like you're
Well, okay,
moving to
so
LA,
the
you're
18
doing
year old
all these
guy, no,
things.
100%. The guy that's still in high school, because there's some 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds. I got a message. I get a handful of messages every day because I post in these groups. Then a bunch of them, like, I'll give some relationship advice or like, some fitness tips, what they need to do, how much protein they should be eating every day. And then all of a sudden, my DMs will be, I wouldn't say flooded, but like I'll get some people reaching out that are like, I'm 14, 15 now. I'm trying to figure out, I'm stressed because I'm worried I won't get rich. And I'm like, well, dude, like, how about
Chill.
start with get if you want, to have a marketing agency because you see all these people online doing that. Cool. Go to a local business nearby you. Tell them you'll run their Instagram for free. Learn how to create some content, then use that as a case study and go get a client. That'll pay you a couple $100s a month. And then now,
Yeah.
look, you're making money. And then you can chill. You can still go to recess and you can have your client and you do your posting for,
Yeah. I still think that college is interesting because you definitely don't have to do it. I think there's a lot of value. Like I built a great community within college that I like fundamentally changed my life so that I appreciated that experience. But
I say go live in a college town and go to the
that would be
events, but
perfect.
don't pay for it.
But my biggest thing is like tinker on the hobby that you love the most and
Yeah.
find a business within it. Be careful because when your hobby becomes your business, it becomes your job, and you might lose a little bit of that luster. But I do think you'll find like this weird little niche in it because for example, like I'm trying to start this media company, Purple Banter, been working on it for the last 2.5, 3-ish years. It's gotten to a place where it pays rent most of the time. Sometimes it gets a little bit dicey still. We have like an employee or two, we're
What's
building.
the model so I can understand the business?
Really, there's a few different people that I look at that I'm trying to build from. I like the streamlinedness that Barstool does. But I think we bridge a different version of what our conversation, our ethos, and our culture is that is still
Yeah.
not met. I want to be much more political, a little bit more mindful, but still like live in spaces where like comedy is my favorite thing. And so I'm still honestly trying to like weigh out where we live best in the market. I can like feel it in my heart, but I still have a little bit of I have trouble explaining it and people still aren't seeing it, right? And so I guess a lot of like what these 37 conversations are in 37 days are for me to be able to hash out some of that, see what works a little bit with people that are viewing into it, and then bouncing
Yeah.
ideas off of the people that I actually like respect and care about, that I know have like continued to like pull and push for that next step.
Something that comes to mind, if you're open to hearing it, is again, that's why I asked for the model to know if this even fits. But imagine with either all this short form content that people are wanting to promote. Imagine you're like, hey, we'll give you a space where you'll film an awesome podcast. We'll interview you. You let us know like what the kind of speaker bio is and all this stuff, so we can make sure we have a nice introduction that makes them feel good and important, right?
Right.
But then say, hey, we will pump out to help or like produce, whether it's in a Google Drive or you guys manage. Maybe you guys just want to give them the content and let them do it. But we'll give you a bunch of short form content. And then either you have an actual editor that edits stuff or you use something like opus.ai that just pumps out, for like, the actual
We
software.
leverage both. We have a great editor, but then we're
Yeah.
also a company that like leans heavily on AI stuff, but you still have to
Yeah.
do like little tweaks. And then our editor like bridges that next gap from going like
Yeah.
goofy to shitty. And then sometimes we just pump out content straight from the AI, right? Like all the stuff that I'll do on here, I'll pump directly to just from like an AI. I'll touch it up a little bit with the angles that I
Yeah.
desire. So it's a little bit of a balance effect with all of that.
Yeah. I still
I
need
like
to
what you're saying though. You're saying like build a space where it's like these are people that want to like market, want to be seen, want to bridge the gap within their business or the conversation they're starting, and maybe they're like paying us to be able to interview them, right? Is that what you're kind of saying?
Yeah, my mentor and client, Christine McDaniel, from many years ago, one of my first clients. I'll always be grateful for her, and I'll always remember this quote she told me: "Ken, focus on the fastest way to the cash." And what that meant, or at least how I interpreted it, was like I had all these ideas, all these visions, and it's like, hey, simple. What's the fast way to cash? Okay, well, about that time, I knew how to take photos and videos and build websites, so I was just focused on, hey, help you, build your website, get all the content. I had these VIP content days. So that's, different topic. But that was like, I'll use my skill set for that and I can get paid for it. For you, I see that you guys could offer and literally go in the DMs, like find them in LA, whatever it is,
Yeah.
whether in the DMs, your network, and be like, yo, we have this service. Make sure you like present right away. Cause if you're like, hey, if the intention is, you're interviewing 37 people that like has that an impact on your life, so it's people you're doing this for yourself and you want to do it, but I'm sure you don't want to just interview random people that, unless there's like a big audience or they're interesting or whatever. If you're going out and be like, hey, we have this service where we will interview you and give you this amazing podcast that will help you have new search results on YouTube, but then also you'll have a ton of content that you'll be able to push out. And unless they're like some guy in their 20s that, is good at the content, likely, most people, maybe they're 30 and up, that don't have the time or like know how. And then they'll be like, fuck yeah, I want to do that. The version of me from 18 to, I'd say, 22, maybe 23, whatever, would have paid good money for that, because I did. I paid good money for a lot of things.
Right.
Someone's like, hey, I can get you verified on Instagram. Awesome, here's $2,000, and then like didn't end up, like I lost a lot of money is what I'm trying to say. I did
Yeah.
have some money, but like if I could I would spend my money on anything that would just make me feel like I'm more important back in the day, because that was my ego, right? But also it's business related, and because people position as, oh yeah, help you get on this list. Oh, that sounds great. That's what all the PR things are, right? And so I think that would be a very smart thing for you to offer, and find those people that are, I can even show you how, like off this, I'll show you how to find those people that are already paying for that stuff,
Yeah.
and help you get that. Because that's just like, for me, again, like I'm not in that place anymore. But I understand, like, oh, like if you can see a demand, well, dude, capitalize on it.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. Where it still bridges, obviously you can be very selective of the conversations that you're having, but figuring out how to create that like through line. Because right now what we do is we partner with people that want to build podcasts, where usually they're
Mhm.
paying us on like a monthly retainer, and then we're building with them. And then we also have um like percentage bases on hopefully bringing on sponsors that then bridge and clear up that monthly retainer, and then we're partners on those shows.
Yeah,
So that's usually
nice.
how we are right now. But what we have found is we've launched 20 podcasts in the last year and only really 4 stuck, right? So, and that, now I'll always take a little bit of blame for that. Maybe it was we didn't market it effectively, blah, blah, blah. There's all these different reasons. But usually what
Mhm.
happened 99% of the time was the person who started a podcast goes, whoa, this is a little bit more of a job than I thought.
Mm.
Maybe the price that is appropriate for us to be able to even do it for them wasn't available for them anymore. Or
Mm.
it's very scary for people to post. That's what I've always
Really?
found. The biggest thing is someone will be on a conversation, they're the host, and they're just like, I don't want to release episode 1. Dude, that
Oh,
happened.
wow.
multiple times. We record
Yeah.
10 shows for somebody, and then
No
when
way.
it's to post episode one, and you know, they don't get me wrong, they like paid us for it to a certain level that we thought made sense at the time, but now I would probably never, you know, uh give that invoice again. But they just are go, I just don't like it. I not like anything that came with audio visual. They're like, I didn't like the conversation. And that's some of the element that I need to even prove within our own company, within our own like YouTube. I'm like, dude, just have
Mm.
conversations. Be the truest version of yourself. Like it will be
Yeah.
okay. And be
Yeah.
comfortable with making mistakes. You know how many times I
For
watch a
sure.
video and go, wow, I didn't like how many times I said like
Mm.
or
Yeah.
or maybe my demeanor was off that day and it felt a little bit weird. You still just gotta
Yeah.
you gotta make it, you gotta roll forward. At least if
Well,
you're
now
playing the podcast game,
yeah,
right?
and that's where I mean, I every time I film a video, I'm always wondering, did I even say anything that was valuable, or how did I sound? How did I look? The camera angle, does my arm look right in this?
Well, that's
That's
what's scary.
those are always the
You're
thoughts.
probably 10 or 20 hours in an edit. And then there is that weird feeling of,
Yeah,
should I post this thing? Like, will
but
anybody
that's
care? Will it be
yeah,
embarrassing? And then I see it from afar as a friend of yours, and I go, Ken, there you go. That was dope.
yeah. And that's what people need to remember is like one imperfect action, or it's like, okay, great. I don't think I spoke as well in this one, and I actually don't like how I sound. Well, cool. Post it so that way people can see the growth that you have by, oh wow, look how he was in episode 1 compared to episode 10. And that's the same with like sparring. That's the perfect parallel. Is I was posting some clips of me like 2 months ago. I'm like, oh, I feel like my sparring is embarrassing. I actually went in the YouTube studio or editor app in this vlog I have for the house and actually removed it. Like the little section where I'm sparring. So I'm like, I wanted, my purpose was post it so people can see like, oh, this is posted at this month, December of 20, what year are we now? 20. Okay. So 23. They watch that, and all of a sudden, 4 months later, like, oh shit, he's good, or not good, but like, much better. But
Because
also, I was like,
you are to me a crazy perfectionist.
yes. And so that's where,
Like
like,
I see
especially with
you're
commercials,
talking
yeah,
about Gravel the Castle 3.5 years ago to me, and you're like, I gotta show you this, and it's like this book. I'm like, dude, you have thought about this, overthought this, and then but then you get into this thing and you go, wow, this is really cool. And then you've proven over the years you don't have failure to launch, even though all of the little details matter to you.
the thing is, I've launched so many times, or I say like what's the best way to say it? I've like launched, start, and then I refine
Or
and make
pivot or
it
whatever it
better.
is. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, so for example, like
You
people's
haven't pivoted
first
very
touch.
far though.
Well, pivot in the sense of like delivery or fulfillment or like the experience. When people come across Gravel to Castle, if you go on our website, it'll say, actually, I'd love for you to watch it after this. Like the little 2 minute trailer. Like you'll see, like if I had cool stuff back then, I got fucking like, the cool stuff now.
I can't
But
imagine.
and then so the call to action is, a Gravel to Castle is a gamified self-improvement experience. Yeah, we have retreats, yeah, we have coaching and training and all this stuff. But like gamified self-improvement experience, what is that? Okay, well, we have real world quests, battles, and trainings for men that help them reach higher levels of power and freedom. So, okay, if that's interesting, or they're like, what the fuck? No one's gonna be like, I don't know what that means. Like, okay, use your brain a little bit. But if you're curious
The
enough,
right dude, though, and there's a lot of us out here go, that's exactly what I've been looking for.
yes, that's what I want in my life. That's why I create it and do it, because I'm always looking for that stuff.
Now, the sticking point, so funny enough, is I'm sure people go, well, why would I like pay into your thing to get me to like run outside when I could run outside or like do push-ups when I can do push-ups? When I'm the same guy that has a
Mhm.
lifetime and an Equinox membership, right?
So you
Like
have a
that's
life.
Los Angeles.
Okay, lifetime gym. Okay, I thought you
I have
said
a
lifetime
lifetime
Equinox.
gym
I'm like,
and
how
an
the hell did you
Equinox.
get that?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. A lifetime Equinox membership. Yeah, that would be sick. But I have two gym memberships because
Yeah.
one's in Los Angeles County, one's down here. My wife goes to one that we like to go to, and then when I get
Yeah.
locked in LA, I go to Equinox. And that's a proven thing that it's like there's a lot of cash coming out every month to be able to even make that make sense, which to me, you should invest in your future of your own bodily health first. Like it should be rent. And then immediately after that, it should be a gym, or more importantly, probably even first before the gym should be a program like yours.
Yeah. So what I actually have done now, most recently, sorry, my throat's like thumbs in it. So I have, like, when you go on that website, the call to action is play the game for free. I'm hoping, because I want to do more advertising, that's like really interesting. But that's what all the people I've shown it to, they're like, "Oh, that's cool. I love that call to action." Especially my buddy Jordan. He's like, "I'm a guy. I'd love to, play the game for free. That would for sure reel me in, especially with the trailer that we have." And so what they do is they get in their email of course I brand it, the black background, our logo, and white text, so it just looks
dialed.
appealing. And I give them the link to come join that community for free. I just launched it. I only have like 62 guys in there, but I launched it within the past 7 days. Again, I've had other platforms and all this stuff. So like it's a pain in the ass migrating and telling all your clients or all the people that have been in there, hey, go to this platform now. And I was doing just paid back then, but now I'm offering it to where it's free. They get the 7-day quest. It's a beautiful, nice productions for each day of that 7-day quest. Well, like a ton of those tools that you talked about, that book, I give a ton of that stuff, even new stuff that I've created, I think is like super valuable. And each day is a certain theme designed around giving them some value. For example, day one is open your eyes to your lies. Give them an assessment that they spend probably like 5-10 minutes going through that rates their power for each of these areas of the fitness, finance, and relationships, but not just like how you feel, and like actually like here's what level 1 to 3 looks like, 4 to 7, and we have like these just different ranges, like awake, asleep, activated, like all these different kind of categories. So, and again, that's different than just like going, oh, I feel 1 out of 10, So it's like actual real thought that's been put into it. But then 2, I have the sexual marketplace value score, the calculating your sexual marketplace value. So now they go, okay, how attractive do you think you are? I'm kind of creating that problem in their mind by showing them like, hey, like go rate yourself. I'm not telling them what they are, but they rate themselves 1 to 10 for looks, personality, finances, and whatever the other one was. And then they add those scores up and divide it by 4. And I have a handful of guys posting like, shit, I'm a 5.5. I'm a 6, out of 10.
I'm like I think I'm a soft 7.
Yeah. And it's like, we all have the things in our minds, but it's like, okay, well, let's actually map it out. The finances, the fitness, the personality, and then the looks. And then when you actually have 1 to 10 on each of those, and then you find out that number, you're like, fuck. But then you know exactly what to work on. So my goal with this quest is they're going, shit, like I'm actually, again, the goal is for them to really feel that they're getting some value and they're connecting by posting in the group. If they don't post or if they don't start the quest within 48 hours of being in the group or finish it within 10 days, I kick them out. So then that goes like, okay, well, you're not part of the tribe. Sorry. And I've kicked people out. And it's like, oh, well, how is that going to build community? Or like, well, first off, I'm separating myself because I have guys that say, shit, this is real high standards. I love that. And that's what they want. Again, for the right guy, it's
you
what
do it
they're
for the
looking
pack.
for.
You got to shoot the run for the pack. Like, unfortunately, it's just one of those things. The only way we have respect is if like you tell the runt, like, dude, you got to go somewhere else.
So the quote is, a chain is only as valuable as its weakest link, right? So constantly get rid of that weakest link and then have everyone know that, hey, shout out to Michael. He just got kicked out for not posting in the past week, like that type of stuff.
I got kicked off my college football team.
Oh, yeah?
Because we had a coach turnover. So I started to play on this team, and then they brought in a bunch of like D1 transfer guys. And I skipped practice and a game that I wasn't even going to play in. And it was a travel game that I wasn't even supposed to go to for a Halloween party. Came back the next Monday. I had to skip another practice for like an entrepreneurial event. And the coach was like, dude, you got to go. And I've never had more respect for the man than when he was just like, you can like be a part of the team, but you're going to have to do it from the stands. And I ended up becoming one of the biggest fans. And then now they went from D3 to D1 within that 5-year period, right? And
Wow.
it takes that type of mentality, where it's like, hey, if you want to be a part of this pack, we're gonna run at a different type of pace, and you're gonna have to keep up with us. And so I do
Yeah.
love that mentality.
Yeah, and I have an automated message that gets sent out to them. That's why it's cool. Again, it's such an amazing platform. You can, it's free. It's a free account for all the people that join a community such as mine. I'll send you a link after so you can check it out
Cool.
because I just want you to see what it's
Yeah,
like.
and I'll share the link
Um,
on the YouTube and everything. So send it to
oh
me.
fuck yeah, hell yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so I think it's, but even maybe you even have a place that you can go and create your own school. I pay $99 a month, and I have this entire place where I could have the courses. I have some of them again, 7 day quest that's available to everyone. But then I have when you reach level 2, say you get five to get to level 2, you have to have 5 points, and a point is a like. So if you post a comment or a post in that thread, the group, then and if 5 people like it, 5 points, right? Then you get to level 2, and then you unlock things. So I have certain courses that they get access to that gets unlocked. But then there's some courses that show on their thing, but they're locked. That they doesn't say reach level 3 to get access. It's just locked. So that's what the paid clients are going to be able to get.
Okay.
So that's how I'm like separating it. And it says in the caption, like, want access, message Ken. So my goal is give so much value and have them be like, fuck yeah, Gravel the Castle is awesome, and allow them to experience it. And then when those guys that are like, fuck yeah, this is awesome, that's when, hopefully incentivize them to go become a paying client. And that might be a thing that you could do with your stuff. I don't know. Maybe you give some podcast advice and stuff, but yeah, it's like that's kind of been the shift since we last spoke.
Well, I love what you're doing because you're exploring how to be able to build brotherhood within this new disconnected spaces, right? We
Yeah.
have all the ability to connect, we desire connection, but there's more isolation happening than ever. And you think about every day, how can I connect people better? And it's just
Yeah.
gonna, it's like, it's not even about you perfecting that yet. It's just like that you're on the mission to be able to refine how to do that better every day. And I applaud that for sure.
Appreciate that, man. Yeah, well, it's been one hell of a ride, and for both of us,
Mm-hmm.
the journeys that we're on, and yeah, like I'm not at the stage ready to have a kid, but I feel like the person I'm with is that person that I'm gonna have that life with,
Yeah, you're
and
still
we're
a little
already
young.
experiencing it. Yeah, but
It's
again, it's like I've always had that mentality. Like I know exactly what I want to create, and I've always had since I was 18 years old the vision of living kind of off grid and building this kind of life, with an incredible woman. But of course, most 18-year-olds aren't ready for that, especially I wasn't in regards like, my life setup. But
I would definitely
yeah.
suggest everybody when you find the right person and then you
Mhm,
both have like envisioned a path that like a child would be in it,
mhm.
have that child like a little bit too soon. Just a
Have it
little
too
bit too
soon.
soon. A little bit too soon because
Mhm,
what you're going to realize is one, you're in theory maybe not financially ready for it. You don't think your business is ready. You don't think you're mentally ready. Maybe you don't feel like you live in the appropriate like surroundings within a house and all these things.
mhm,
But like God shows up for you in a weird way. You find
mhm,
so many blessings in it. And then for a guy, I can only speak from a man's perspective in it. Just like it weirdly like roots you in a whole nother vision. Your partnership becomes a family. And I don't know. It's like it's a very unbelievable ride and journey that I
yeah,
hope that everybody can experience. I hate
yeah.
that we're marketed and telling us that like that's not what true like happiness is. When it comes to the happiness,
Happiness is being a girl boss and not needing a man.
dude, I can tell you when it comes to all of the cliches, that's what fatherhood is. And you won't
Yeah,
understand the cliches until you're in it and you're like, dude, this is really fun. It's cool.
yeah. I'm
But it's
excited.
also stressful,
Yeah.
exhausting. But you look at your like wife and partner, women show up differently for when a baby shows up. You go from, first to maybe third place in their life, mom, dad, some sisters or brothers, and but you're kind of like sneak in there as like kind of a quasi first. Baby shows up and you're like, you really get back to fifth quick, and she immediately darts into your like the perfect person that you could never imagine a life without.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's fun, man. So I one, I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule. Is Cambodia as busy as it can be, but I know your business is always
Dude, I
building.
got palm trees to climb and vines to swing from, bro. I got a
But,
lot to go take care of.
But I love the journey that you're on. It inspires me from afar every single day. And I just appreciate you. I appreciate your friendship and your ability to like continue to fight to be the truest you.
I appreciate that, bro. I kind of cut out a little bit. I think I caught majority of that. Yeah, dude. I mean, just being able to catch up with you is amazing, and I'm so happy that you're looking and sounding happy and healthy, and I can't wait for us to be able to get a workout in again.
Yeah.
Maybe you ever make your way out to Southeast Asia, but yeah, I've kind of like relocated my life out of the States. But I wanted to show Leah, my partner, what I grew up experiencing, and like show her the States, places I lived. So possibly in December, we're going to take a trip out to the States. And if I do, I definitely want you to meet her and yeah, just bring her out to California. So you'll definitely get a text from me when that does happen.
Is there a lot of yous out there? Is there a lot of like expats in these areas that you connect with?
In Bali, like where I was at for like 5 months, yes, a lot of people. I was
Tons,
in
I'd
Colombia as
imagine.
well. But yeah, Bali is like a ton, and a lot of people like Bali's awesome. I'm like, there's different areas that have a whole bunch of these Western people, and they just take over. I just avoid those. I don't necessarily go in the woods where there's no one, but I just don't go in the craziest busy of places. So therefore, my experience is still really good.
Bali to
I
me
can't let.
seems like a very relaxed but weird version of like Venice Beach.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I'm like,
Yes,
I
dude.
get it.
Probably
I
back
get
when
it.
it was one day. It's like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
funny, man.
Hell yeah, bro. Well,
Well,
dude,
appreciate
yeah.
you,
Let me
bro.
know when this stuff is up. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get up by at least 12, so in like within the next 2 hours. So talk to you soon. We'll get some good stuff out here, but and then let's get you back to the States. Let's meet this great female in your life and let's rock it.
Hell yeah, brother. Talk soon. Peace.
See you, buddy.
I need to know everything, who and the what and the where, I need everything. Trust me, I hear what you're saying, but act like it's new what you're telling me. I'm curious, George, I hop in the Porsche, 5 and a horse, I'm ready for war.